We are stepping into a huge milestone, biggest milestone episode on the platform, which is episode number 725. So many people accept aging, but you choose to challenge it. So, what is the difference between aging and surrendering?
The difference between aging, between being active and inactive. When you sit, you rest. When you rest, you rest. When you're active, your whole body is working in concert with each other. You're strengthening your muscles. You're getting greater capacity to take in oxygen.
Rado, coming to you, you escaped a difficult childhood and rebuilt your life from scratch. So, what lesson from that journey applies to anyone who is trying to transform themselves today?
You have to believe yourself, you have to believe your own capabilities, and don't listen to naysayers. When I was back in Slovakia, I still lived as a child in a communist regiment. There was no such a thing, I'm going freely to United States and change my living situation from little country in the middle of Europe, Eastern Bloc country, and living in United States, Western Bloc.
And also becoming a fitness trainer at 60, right? It is not a career move most people make. And what gave you the courage to reinvent yourself when others were preparing to retire at that age?
A stepping stone that this was my last chance, that in my mind, to do something, because I was in terrible shape before that. Terrible. You name the problem. I had an herniated disc, high blood pressure, a hiatal hernia in the chest, disc, all sorts of things. You name it, I had it. And I just said, I don't want to go like my father did, because I had to watch him degrade in front of me, because I lived in the same town he did, even after I graduated.
So, folks, welcome back to the Guiding Voice podcast series. And today we are stepping into a huge milestone, the biggest milestone episode on the platform, which is episode number 725. And we have special guests. Before I introduce them, let me ask you a question. What if everything you have been told about aging is wrong? What if the strongest, healthiest, and most energetic version of you isn't behind you, but still ahead of you? And our guest today is a living proof. For decades, they've lived with what many would consider a successful life. But at age 60, instead of slowing down, he made a decision that would completely redefine his future. He traded convention for transformation and became a fitness trainer at the age 60. Today, at 83 years old, he says he's healthier, stronger, and more fit than he was at 43. And joining him is Rado Pagac. He's a fitness expert, again, whose journey took him from an abusive childhood in Slovakia to America, where he built a championship physique and dedicated his life to helping others transform their bodies, minds, and habits. Together, they have co authored a book, A Better Me, A Better You. It is a book that goes far beyond diet and exercise. It's about mindset, longevity, resilience, purpose, and most importantly, becoming the best version of yourself, regardless of your age. And if you have ever thought, I am too old, or it is too late, or my best years are behind me, this conversation may change your life forever. So, first of all, let us welcome Dave and Rado. Dave and Rado, hearty welcome to TGV. How are you both doing?
I mean, thank you so much. Appreciate you having us on your podcast. It's a pleasure. Doing great.
Thank you for inviting us on your show. We appreciate it, and I think we have some good, valuable information for your audience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it is such a pleasure to host you on this milestone episode number 725 on The Guiding Voice. So, folks, as you prepare to delve into our conversation on the topic at hand, 83 and stronger than ever, the ageless blueprint for becoming better at any age. But before we get started, here is an exciting twist as always. Let us tickle our guest's brain first. So, Dave and Rado, Get ready for the rapid fire round of random words. I'll mention a few and I would love to hear the first thing that comes to your mind in response. So, Rado, I'm going to ask you a few words. Okay, you need to respond to them briefly. And once you're done, I'm going to ask Dave few simple questions. Okay. So, Rado, my first word to you is curiosity.
Uh, I would say it's fire for success.
Invention.
Changing imagination into reality.
Wow. Future.
Future, I would say infinite possibilities.
Amazing. Next is universe.
Universe full of options.
Leadership.
Lead by your own example.
And here comes the last word success.
Success, becoming the best version of yourself.
Amazing. I loved all your responses. And Dave, here is your turn. My first question is 20-year-old energy or 80-year-old wisdom? Which one would you choose?
80-year-old wisdom, because I could have both, and I do. I'm 80 years old and I have a lot of wisdom, and I have the energy of a 20-year-old. If I was picked 20, I would never have the wisdom of an 80-year-old that I have.
Love it. Retirement or reinvention?
A reinvention, always reinvent. Never stop moving physically and never stop thinking mentally.
Yeah. Excuses or results?
No excuses. No, results. Because excuses are for complainers and really what we call losers in some fields, and results are for people who are winners and doers. They're doing stuff all the time.
Got
There's
it.
a difference, a big
Got it.
difference between
Okay. Young body or young mindset?
mindset. What good is a young body if you don't have the cognitive ability to think how you should be moving forward in life? That is something that your body, you can always build up, but your mind always has to be healthy and active. So pick the mind first, and it will tell you how to get the body.
Got it. One exercise everyone should do daily.
Walking. Walking does so much more than you could ever think. It strengthens your muscles. It allows your lungs to take in fresh air, replacing the toxins that are in your lungs with fresh air. It increases your heart rate. And remember, your heart is a muscle, so it's important to increase your heart rate to raise the intensity. It replaces clean air. It replaces your body with clean air as opposed to the toxic air. And it enables your mind to think about your problems and your challenges of the day, because your challenges of the day is what gets you stressed. And if you can get ahead of the curve by walking and thinking in fresh air, which is oxygenating your blood and sending fresh blood loaded with oxygen through your whole entire body, including your brain, you're able to figure out your problems and your barriers of the day and the things that you need to do and how to successfully do them. So I would say walking is the number one
Got
exercise
it.
you should be doing.
Got it. One food everyone should avoid.
Any food that is fried, I don't care how healthy it is. If that food is fried, you're always going to be taking into your body saturated fats and trans fats, the two worst things for your health. So you can take something perfectly healthy, like a piece of chicken, absolutely healthy, loads of protein, and then fry it and make it something that will degrade your body rather than add to it. So anything that's fried, that's what I would avoid.
Okay. And here comes the last one. One habit that changed your life forever.
I would say that for me, and I think for a lot of people, I think could apply this, is getting out of bed by 7 o'clock every morning, because that enables me to to meditate for 5 minutes, to do some stretching, and it enables me to do some deep breathing as well. Those three things, breathing, stretching, and meditation, will set your clock for the day. And then it allows you enough time to have a nutrient-rich breakfast, which is so important because it's your fuel for the day. So you're putting into your body the fuel that you'll need to carry your day out successfully. By getting up at 7, you're doing that. And I realize people have different schedules, but I think they know what I'm talking about, just getting up early enough that they have time to do these things. And that habit has changed my life.
Amazing. I loved all your responses. I think they're full of wisdom. Thank you so much for participating in rapid fire round number one. And it's time for us to cruise into the mainstream. And here you can answer to my questions in about 1 to 1.5 minute kind of thing. And my first question is to both of you, but I would prefer Rado to answer first. And then Dave, you can answer it after Rado. So tell us about who is your guiding voice.
Well, I would say ever since I was a kid, the words of wisdom came from my mother. And I used to turn to my mom with all the difficulties I was dealing with ever since the childhood until she unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. But believe it or not, even after my mom passed and she's not longer here, I still use her guiding voice to lead me through my life even now. I always ask myself, what would my mom said? And sometimes she even comes in my dreams and give me the clear answer. So the fact that she's no longer with us didn't change the aspect of me looking at her as my guiding voice throughout my life afterwards as well.
And sorry to hear about your mother's loss. And Dave, share with us your guiding voice.
I would say, honestly, it was looking inward. It was me because I realized how bad I was deteriorating and I needed to do something for myself and not rely on others to do it for me. And that's when I did change. I did it as much for my own health as I did for having just not wanting to practice law as much anymore. So it was a huge turnaround and a huge benefit for me, even though my salary was 1/20th of what I made as a criminal law attorney. I really don't regret it one bit. And I
Got it.
was able to help so many people in the
Mhm.
interim part.
Yeah.
So I would say myself.
Okay. Got it. And Rado, talk to us about your success mantra as in top three things that have contributed to your success so far.
I would say hard work, determination, and never giving up on yourself. Those are main things that I would contribute to the success where I'm at today because without hard work, you can't really gain any success. If you're not determined enough, even if you work hard only once a week or once in a while, it's still not going to bring you success. And if you keep doubting yourself, you're not going to turn successful either. So you have to definitely believe in yourself. Even if there's people who doubt you, you still have to believe yourself and your own skills and your own fire that can lead you through this life to become a successful person.
Spot on. Dave, how about you?
I think one of the top things I would say is how to teach people. You shouldn't be lecturing to people because they may not be receptive to the fact that you're trying to tell them something they don't know because they know a lot. You just have to fill in the blanks. So I always like to teach people and not think that I have all the knowledge or I know everything and you have to listen. You need to listen to people too because they have certain goals in mind and you need to apply your knowledge to their goals and not what you want them to be. Second of all, I think try to be ahead of the curve has been a big point of my success in the sense that I always try to be up on the latest studies and information available out there. As a matter of fact, just this morning, I was listening to a podcast with a very famous doctor that everybody would know, and it has to do with muscles and muscle mass and how important it is. And everything he said about it was in my book already. A better me, a better you.
Yeah.
Everything. So
Wow.
I was happy to know that. Keep in mind, I'm 83. I'm a little bit on the shy side sometimes, so I don't like to toot my own horn. But I was very. It brought a smile to my face. That's all I can say. And the third thing is, for my own personal development, I needed to do more protein, and I think most people need to do that because we're in a protein revolution. Of course, there is a limit because anything that you overuse, I don't care how good it is for you, is a problem. Good things that you overuse become bad things. So be careful and perhaps consult with your doctor or dietitian. But protein is the way to go these days for a macronutrient because we need more muscle mass. We're just realizing as we become fragile, older, and I'm not that way right now because I attributed it to the fact that I'm taking more protein. And I think a lot of people would find.
Yeah, got it. Dave, next question is again to you. Like at 83, you say you are healthier and fitter than you were at 43. So, what is the single biggest belief about aging that society gets completely wrong? Hmm.
From my birthday to next birthday, 365 days pass, I'll be a year older. But that doesn't mean that's chronologically, but that doesn't mean biologically I'm getting older. I could get younger. So that's when I say I'm in better shape at 83 than 43. That is possible. And biologically, that means I have less plaque, I have more muscle mass, my heart rate is better, my blood pressure is better, everything, my metabolism's working at full throttle. That means everything has improved. That's possible. I can't stop the aging process chronologically, but I can better my life biologically by my biological age by doing certain practices. So I
Got it.
would say that.
Hmm. Hmm. And also becoming a fitness trainer at 60, right? It is not a career move most people make. And what gave you the courage to reinvent yourself when others were preparing to retire at that age?
I realized at age 60, there wasn't a lot, there was more behind me than in front of me as far as my life was concerned.
Hmm.
And that was sort of a stepping stone that this was my last chance, that in my mind, to do something because I was in terrible shape before then.
Yeah.
Terrible. You name the problem, I had it. A herniated disc, the high blood pressure, uh, a hiatal hernia in the chest, disc, all sorts of things. You name it, I had it. And I just said, I don't want to go like my father did because I had to watch him degrade in front of me because I lived in the same town he did even after I graduated. And I decided that this is it. I'm going to give it one more shot. And I need to do something for my own benefit. And my inner self, again, as I said, try it. And right behind me was a gym that I had never been in before, but it was less than 100 yards from my office that I had been in for many years. And I decided, let me stop in and see what happened. And lo and behold, I did so well that people were coming up to me and asking me, oh, could you show us that? And here I was, a medical mess 4 months earlier, and now people are asking me questions. So that's how I became a trainer and got into better health, which is today, among the best I've ever enjoyed.
And also, many people accept aging, but you choose to challenge it. So, what is the difference between aging and surrendering?
The difference between aging and what was the other thing? Aging and,
Surrendering.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
sedentary.
Yeah.
No, is the difference between being active and inactive.
Mm-hmm.
When you sit, you rest. When you rest, you rest. When you're active, your whole body is working in concert with each other. You're, you're strengthening your muscles. You're getting greater capacity to take in oxygen. You're moving flexibility. You can twist and turn so much better. Those reaches for the shelf, for those groceries, those picking up of your suitcase become so much easier. Everyday things that you need to do make so much of your life so much easier. So I would say that one's an active and keeping active. And if you're inactive, you're just going to rust.
Yeah. Got it. Rado, coming to you, you escaped a difficult childhood and rebuilt your life from scratch. So, what lesson from that journey applies to anyone who is trying to transform themselves today?
Well, as I already said before, you have to believe yourself, you have to believe your own capabilities, and don't listen to naysayers. When I was back in Slovakia, I still lived as a child in a communist regiment. There was no such a thing. I'm going freely to United States and change my living situation from little country in the middle of Europe, Eastern Bloc country, and living in United States, Western Bloc. So even though I kept hearing from my friends, from my own father, how you gonna get to United States? You cannot even leave this damn country. I never gave up on my dream. And then sure enough, by the age of 13, when I was 13, communist regiment went down and borders started opening. Even though the borders were open, it was still really hard to get out of the country. And I was still very young. So what I started doing, I started learning English at the age of 13. And my main goal, why I wanted to learn, was because one day I'm going to use this as my main language. I started working out hard because I knew California was mecca of bodybuilding. And I knew one day I want to compete in California in a famous Muscle Beach. And 20 years later, my dream became a reality. But that's because I never gave up on my dreams. And it's not only about moving from one country to another country, starting a whole new life. These things can be actually applied to every changes in your life you're going through. You get stuck and you don't know where to go, what to do else, what to do next. You always have to have a dream. You always have to have some plan that can move you forward. So I would say you never want to give up on your life. You never want to give up on your dreams. And you have to find a pathway in life how to accomplish those dreams that you have and make them become a reality. Like you asked me before, what is invention? It's imagination turned into reality. And it cannot be, doesn't have to be just invention, technical invention. It can be invention of your life. There's a lot of people, they keep on dreaming their entire life, but they're missing that one single thing to change that dream into reality, to be possible to take the leap of faith and believing yourself that when you fall, you're going to get up, you're going to move on, and you're going to rebuild your life from the scratch again. You don't have to be afraid. There is always way. If you, like my dad used to say, where is the way, where is the will, there is a way. So if you really want to change something, you put all the effort in it and it will become a reality. If you don't, you'll just keep sitting, you keep rusting, like David mentioned, and you just keep on dreaming.
Yeah. Got it. If someone who has tuned into this episode today feels stuck physically, emotionally, or mentally, right? What is the first small action they should take in the next 24 hours?
You don't have to change the world overnight. You have to take small steps. You have to take small actions that turn the wheel the right direction. Just simple thing like getting outside, take a short walk, 30 minutes walk, take a deep breath, enjoy the nature around you, have a good nutrition meal, hydrate with water, and if you feel stuck, call your friend. Call somebody you can trust, and you can share your problems, you can share your insecurities with, and you know that person is not going to laugh at you. That person is there to give you a good advice. And I believe if we take these little steps, it's not going to change the life, but it creates momentum. And when you create momentum, momentum slowly leads to a success. So also I would recommend, before you go to bed, write three things that you're grateful for, and put one small goal on a piece of paper that you want to accomplish next day. And like I said, doesn't have to be anything major. You can put down, I just want to go to the gym. Or you can put down, I'm going to visit a relative that I haven't seen for so long and I miss them. Those are little things that you can do in your life to kind of slowly change the direction where your life is going right now. And these small actions slowly build the momentum that the life can completely change to a success.
Got it. Also, your book is called A Better Me, A Better You. So, why does becoming a better version of ourselves often help everyone around us also become better?
I would say the actions speak louder than words.
Mhm.
And success and positiveness is very contagious. You are overweight, out of shape, you start working out, you start losing weight, you start looking better, you start feeling better about yourself, and you start changing your attitude too. People around you, first your family, your kids, your spouse, your siblings, people at work, they see this positive change. And what they want to do, they want to become better as well because you send them an information without even saying a word. They already see you working hard. They already see how you have changed, and they want to follow that lead. So the whole book is pretty much about it. Using David as an example of what he did with his life, turn his life around to become a person who he is today. Just the name of the book itself tells you that there is always possibility. And then having a perfect example like David can definitely change people's mind and can change their lives.
Love it. And Dev, why do some people continue growing in their 70s and 80s while others stop growing in their 40s?
I want to pick up on something that Rado said in his answer about calling up a friend if you have a problem. Your success, to a great degree, will depend on your friends and family, the people you hang out with the most. Now, you remember for many of us in the olden days when we were growing up, our mothers and sometimes our fathers used to take us aside and say, I don't want you hanging around with that group of people. So that group of people were, they were skipping school, they were taking drugs, they was, not studying, not succeeding. They were losing their jobs every 2 months and moving on to something else. They weren't succeeding in life. You keep hanging around like that and you become one of those people. However, if you hang around with bright, smart people that want to advance their life, that move their lives forward, that have ideas and invention in their life, and you become part of that group, you'll have a not entirely different life to lead.
Mhm.
You will be an accomplished person, you will be a
Mhm.
successful person, and you'll be a happy person, and
Right.
most likely a healthy person. So, it's the people that you most hang around with
Yeah.
that determines how your own life will succeed or not. So that's
Got
what
it.
happens. People that are in their 40s that are hanging around with the wrong people, but those people make it to the 70s and 80s. Those people probably have a lot of the right people they've been with.
Yeah. Okay. And if you could spend one day inside the mind of your younger self, what advice would you give?
Well, I started, my younger self was, I wouldn't wanna get in my mind of my younger self. It was not a good mind. It was not a good body. It was not a good thought process. So, I have to think about that for a second. I wish, we can't start all over in life, but I think I've shown that you can remodel your life, if not start all over. You can remodel your life, and I would say that as soon as you can, think about your mind and your body. I mean, we don't think enough about it. We think about our automobiles, about, oh, that's not working right. I got to clean it or something like that. Something that we'll have 10 or 12 of in our lifetime. We only have one body with a mind. You need to think more about it. So I would think about getting into a gym or working out. You don't have to do it in a gym setting early in life because at age 30, your muscle mass starts to degrade. I would think about what will stimulate my mind. And of course, that's, reading and learning, do all that. And games like even improvisation stimulates your frontal cortex. People do improvisation, comedy, and stuff like that. And you have to be quick, so forth. So I would think in an earlier age, I would start that as opposed to, unfortunately, in my situation, it was 60, but I'm doing okay. I'm not complaining about it.
Got it. Also, tell us about what habits silently accelerate aging that most people don't even realize they are practicing.
Sitting, sitting. We sit too much. We need to move. Sitting degrades your health. Uh, when you sit, you rust. Movement creates all sorts of possibilities for your body in a positive direction. So think about it. We just don't sit in front of the television. We sit at our office. We're sitting right now. We sit when we behind the wheel of our car. We're sitting way too much. You should start walking any place you can walk within a mile or two instead of getting in your car. Just walk. It'll create so many opportunities for your body and your mind to stimulate itself and get better. But instead, we're lazy, and we think we got to get there faster than slower. No, no, no. You need to get there healthier, not faster. So get off the couch, open the front door, and start walking.
Yep. All right. So, Dave and Rado, this has been amazing conversation and with full of wonderful insights. And it's time for us to add some more spice and some more excitement, which means it brings us to the second rapid fire round. So, if you are ready, let's get into it. And my first question, okay, is if you could have one gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say? Rado, you may answer first, and then we'll go with Dave.
I would say it's never too early, it's never too late.
I would just say, keep moving, keep moving. Or turn right, keep moving.
Got it. And can you describe yourself in just one word, Rado?
Uh, I would say inspirational.
I would say entertaining.
Entertain. Amazing. All right. And Dave, this one is again to you. What is aging in one sentence?
Aging is your body's inability to do what it's supposed to do. In other words, your amount of oxygen is less, the amount of muscles is deteriorating, the amount of movement is limited. When you have everything like that going on in your body, you're aging.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And Dave, what is your secret weapon against getting old?
Never give up. Never have that mindset. I'm not giving up. I'm not going to let this illness, this accident, this financial burden, this stress take hold of me and define my life.
Rado, what is one thing people should stop doing immediately?
I would probably continue with what just David said. Don't give up on yourself. Don't doubt yourself. Because that's, once you start to do that, that's the beginning of downward spiral.
And Rado, this is again to you. What is the fountain of youth really made of?
Fountain of youth is not a place or it's not a thing. I think it's combination of a lot of things. So it's combination of our daily choices we make. If you make positive choices in your life, starting with having good exercise regimen every day, eating right every day, hydrating properly, getting enough rest overnight or even during the day, and try to manage your stress. These are all things that combined together can create a fountain of youth for yourself.
Got it. Dave, finish this sentence. You are never too old to.
To turn back your biological age, to get younger, to get healthier.
Amazing. And here comes the last one for the second rapid fire. And Rado, you may answer it first, followed by Dave. So, what is one electronic gadget or a fantasy gadget that you'd like to see or invent yourself?
Oh, I'm not much of an inventor, but I hope one day somebody can invent a gadget, portable gadget that you can carry on yourself that can early detect illnesses in your body way before you start
Yeah,
showing signs of the illness and also lead you throughout the time to change things in your life to prevent from these illnesses to happen to you. I think that would be really amazing because then we will be shifting healthcare from treating the illness to
yeah,
preventing from this illness to even happen.
got it. Dave, how about you?
Oh, I'm not much of an inventor, but I would say something that would, for me, I do have some autoimmune conditions,
Mm-hmm,
and one of which is peripheral neuropathy,
mm-hmm.
which is a balance issue. And if I could invent some pads with some electrodes in it that could measure whether you need to uh, uh, balance yourself better, in what direction and how, that would be of great help to me. So that was something I would certainly be interested in.
Got it. Amazing. So, thank you both again for participating in rapid fire round number two. And let's flip back to the mainstream. Again, this question is to both of you. And Rado, you may answer first, followed by Dave. So imagine someone who has tuned into this episode from a hospital bed or a retirement home or maybe a difficult season of life. So, what would you want them to hear right now?
I would say today's circumstances don't define your future, and it definitely doesn't define your worth. As you're still here, as long as you're here, still as long as you're alive, you have a hope. And if you have a hope, there is also a brighter future ahead of you. I would say even the life must be difficult. Let's say you're in a hospital or you're in a retirement home. Try to do at least one positive thing, one small step in that day, even if it's a smile or if it's a short conversation with somebody in a facility with you, or just go for a short walk, or simply just don't give up on yourself. And we have to remember the human strength is not defined by how much weight you can lift is more defined on willingness to move on in your life, even when the life gets difficult. And like I said already before, you try to create momentum, and this momentum slowly leads to small success throughout the day, and that leads to bigger success later, and that can become the victory. So never give up on your life, even though you're in a bad situation at the moment, and your life can change around. You don't even know how.
Yeah. Dave, over to you.
Just add to that. I agree 100% on what Rado just said. I would just add to that movement becomes so important as we age, because we have that fragility syndrome where we
Mhm.
sort of concave inward and we lose muscle and we bend forward and we look like we're going to fall over. And if you get up and move, that all changes. Now, I know people are in bed sometimes, but maybe they can walk around their room. But people certainly that are in retirement homes should be doing this every day. And you can take any weight at all. You can take, I once had a woman who had been in a terrible accident, couldn't handle any weight, 2 cans of 14-ounce soups, and sitting there in your chair, and even in a nursing home, and going like this for your shoulders, and going like this for your biceps, curling. It'd be amazing what it triggers in your body. So I would try to do anything I could do and not just give in to my situation.
Amazing. So I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you both. And how is your experience being hosted on TGV, the Guiding Voice podcast?
Well, like I said at the beginning, thank you for having us. It's our pleasure and it's our honor. And it was a really good experience for us, but I hope it will be more of an experience for your listeners out of this podcast, this interview, and apply it in their life. So the question should be how the people, the listeners, are going to feel when they listen to this interview. And hopefully, I will feel much better if I know that I affect at least one person out of the whole crowd who makes the change, because you make first change, becoming a better person, and it leads to becoming a better world.
Thank you. Thank you. Dave, how about you?
I would say that I think your questions to us were spot on. I think they were well thought of, and I would hope that our responses were able to answer a lot of your listeners' concerns. And I would hope they would at least try to adopt some of these concerns and see if they work for them. I think they will. So I think you laid the groundwork for us to get the information out there. Thank you.
Pleasure to have you both, and I'm sure it is going to immensely benefit our audience across 140 countries. And thank you so much once again. And I'm looking forward to hosting you again in future. And I wish you both all the very best in everything that you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Awesome. Our
Bye bye.
pleasure.
Friends, that was our episode with Dave and Rado. It was an incredible conversation. And today's episode was not really about fitness, it wasn't about age, and it was not even about longevity, but it was about possibility. Dave reminds us that 60 is not the end of transformation. And at 83, he is demonstrating what is possible when we refuse to let a number define our future. And also, Rado reminds us that our past doesn't determine our destiny. And no matter where we have been, we can choose who we become next. Perhaps the most powerful message from today's conversation is this one. You don't become old because of your age, you become old when you stop growing. And the moment you commit to becoming a better version of yourself, your future begins to change. All right. So before we jump into the fun trivia section, we have a quick request. If this episode has inspired you, don't just listen to it and leave it, just act on it. And also today, you need to choose at least one habit you will improve over the next 30 days. And also share this episode with someone who believes it's too late to change. And do not forget to subscribe, leave a review, and also tag us on social media with your answer to this question. What will you do today to become a better me? Let me repeat. What will you do today to become a better me? Better ourselves, we create a better family, better community, and ultimately a better world. All right, now it's time for us to cruise into the trivia segment. I wanted to present you an interesting fact about aging. After age 30, adults can lose 3% to 8% of muscle mass per decade if they remain inactive. And research consistently shows that strength training improves not only physical health but also cognitive function and independence later in life. The world's oldest competitive athletes continue participating in marathons, cycling, and swimming events well into their 80s, 90s, and sometimes beyond. All right. So that's it for today, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in and also for being part of our awesome TGV family. So until next time, take care, stay inspired, and remember the best is yet to come. Goodbye for now. See you all in the next episode with another amazing guest. And thank you for all your love and affection. And without which we would have not come this far of 725 episodes and counting. All right. So take care. Bye, guys.